Here we go. Welcome to Inside the Locker Room. I'm Jake Holston on a cold, crisp autumn Friday night. We finally made it to the end of the week. You know what that means. Penn State, Ohio State preview, some NFL predictions. We got some big playoff implication games this week in the NFL. But first, let's talk some NBA. So, everybody's making a big fuss about this whole Kawhi load management thing. It almost seems to me that it isn't load management. You don't just miss 3 games in a row in the second month of the season if it's load management. I think he's actually hurt, and I think this could actually be a real concern for the Clippers. And especially with Paul George just coming off shoulder surgery. They played their first game together the other night, and it wasn't perfect, but they got the win against a good Boston team. I think Boston's one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, actually. It went into overtime. It was a real good game. Boston looks like one of the best teams right now in the NBA. And the Clippers will get there. But this whole Kawhi injury thing, I think he's nursing an injury still. I don't think he just misses that many games this early. I know he's load managing, but he's already missed 5 games. He spreads that out a lot better, I think. Let's take a step back and be honest about this. Everybody was so, how would I word this? So worried about the Lakers' injury concern that they didn't really take a step back and think about. The Clippers probably have a higher injury concern than the Lakers. Everybody's thing with the Lakers was Anthony Davis is always nicked up. He always got some type of nagging injury. And LeBron coming off his first actual major injury and being in year 17 and all the miles he has, all the minutes he's played, how would his body react? Well, with the long off season, it's looking like it's paying off. Now, he's not going to be able to go at this pace for 80 games. I think he will eventually take games off, but with a new team, I think it's best to get on a hot start and a roll, build that chemistry up, and then maybe take some games off right before the All-Star break or whatever. I think LeBron and Anthony Davis will end up probably taking 10 to 12 games off. But the Kawhi situation, I don't think it's just load management. Now, if he's hurt, I don't understand why the Clippers wouldn't be reporting that. Like, they're not reporting it as an injury, but their best player missed 3 games in a week, I think, in November. The only reason you would do that is for injury. The anticipation of the dynamic duo of the Clippers has got off to a very slow start. At this point, they're probably the 3rd best duo just because they haven't played much. Russ and Harden are so far playing pretty well together. And obviously Anthony Davis and LeBron are just on fire right now. The whole Lakers are. I know it's real early in the season. But the MVP race is shaping up to be a very good race. You got Luka Doncic over here, he's either I think he's a half a rebound away from averaging a triple-double. James Harden is almost averaging 40 points a game. And then you got LeBron. He's averaging lower points per game than he has in a while. But he's also leading the league in assists. And he's hardly turning the ball over. So it's going to be an interesting race. It's already interesting. Got a lot of season left to play. Barring any crazy injuries. I mean, players will take games off and stuff, so that's a given. I'm looking forward to this MVP race and the way this NBA season is going to shape up. It seems like it's going to be an interesting season. Okay, sticking with some more NBA action. The Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving. It's beginning to look like Kyrie Irving's a big problem for no matter what team he plays for. So him and LeBron were a fantastic duo. Then apparently he got sick of playing quote unquote second fiddle. Requests a trade, trades to Boston. Everybody thinks, oh, Boston, this is it. Boston's gonna own the East. He completely screws up their chemistry. Every player on that team, every young player took a step back, like a big time step back, and especially Jason Tatum. Now he leaves and goes to Brooklyn, and the players in Boston are flourishing. They've been tied with the Lakers for the best record, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're looking like the players we expected them to be. Now in Brooklyn, I hear he's already a problem. They say his mood swings are just, they're getting on Brooklyn's nerves. He's a ball dominant point guard, basically a ball hog, and he's killing the development of the young players in Brooklyn. Like, I am a Kyrie fan. I like Kyrie's game. It's fun. It's flashy. I mean, I'm a Duke fan, Duke basketball, so I liked him coming out of Duke, even though he didn't play like 7 or 8 games. Then he went to Cleveland, and then LeBron's my favorite player, so LeBron went over there. So I was like, oh, this will be good to watch. My 2 favorite players, but I was gonna say it's not even about his play, but it is about his play. He's a ball stopper, not a ball mover. And they got, like, next year Kevin Durant comes back. Now I don't know how that's gonna look or what's gonna go on with that, but that ought to be interesting. Because Kevin Durant's clearly the better player. Everybody knows that. Is Kyrie going to want to go back to deferring as a second fiddle? Because that's the reason he left LeBron. Let's be clear. Kyrie probably should have never left LeBron. Like, honestly, I mean, everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. I think he found that out the hard way. This last year that Toronto won, you mean to tell me that a Kyrie LeBron Cavs team wouldn't have won the championship last year? Like, they probably would have lost 3 or 4 games in the East, and with that demolished roster of the Golden State Warriors of injuries, that could have been a 5-game series with Kyrie and LeBron on the same team against that team with all their injuries. It's just unfortunate that his diva attitude has caused him a championship, caused LeBron a championship, possibly. That's just speculating. But I don't know. It's not looking good for Kyrie. He's starting to get a not a very good reputation. It's crazy, to be honest. I was not expecting that. So, let's move on, still in the NBA, to James Harden. Alright. Let's be clear. Do we think he's going to keep up this pace of scoring? No. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. He's shooting quite a bit. And the amount of free throws he's taken, if he averages 40 points a game this season, that's going to be crazy. I don't think anybody's done that since Wilt Chamberlain, to be honest. 40 points a game. Wow. It'll be hard for LeBron to get the MVP if James Harden averages 40 and they win 55 plus games. Even if LeBron is at 26, 11 and a half, and 8 like he is, and they win 55 games or 55 plus, it's going to be hard to win MVP over somebody that's averaging 40 points a game. Now let's talk about a little about Houston Rockets. So they got this new dynamic duo. Obviously, they swapped Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook, and whatever else came with it. We'll just focus on those two. So it's an upgrade. Russell Westbrook over Chris Paul at this point in their career. I think Russell Westbrook has a bigger contract. I'm really surprised on how Russell Westbrook is adjusting to his new role. As the very clear cut second fiddle. I wouldn't think he's gonna adjust this well to it, to be honest, because Russell Westbrook's always been the alpha dog, the alpha, on the team. They have a chance to be great, but the way they're playing, taking turns, this and that, that's not going to beat the Lakers and the Clippers in the playoffs. That will get them to, let's say, anywhere between 55 and 60 wins. Honestly, I think the West could have 3 55-win teams. Yeah, I don't think the Clippers will be one. I think Kawhi's going to miss too many games for that. The way it's looking like the Lakers and the Rockets are going to be the top 2 seeds. They seem like the 2 best teams right now in the West. The West has 3 of the 4 top MVP candidates right now. Luka, James, Harden, and LeBron. And then obviously Giannis in the East. Speaking of the East, it's how should I put this? Complete opposite of the West. Boston's been a pleasant surprise, though. I wasn't expecting them to come out like this. So, everybody's thinking it's going to be Philly, Milwaukee. Watch out for Boston. They get in the groove back after, post Kyrie. They have a chance to be the top seed in the East. With the top seed in the East, there's no reason why Boston can't come out of the East. They got good players. They got their stars. They got a great coach. They got a better roster than Milwaukee, let's be honest. Milwaukee's second star is what? Middleton? To me, he's more of a third option. Giannis is so good, but still. Boston's got Kimba, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward. Even Jaylen Brown. He's not up there as far as stars. But Jason Tatum and obviously Kimba. Kimba's a 25-plus point a game guy. So, we'll talk more about the NBA as the season goes on, but so far it's been a good season. A good start of the season. We got some pleasant surprises in Boston and the Lakers, the way the Lakers are gelling, and we'll just see how things play out. Okay, let's move on to a little bit of college football. Now, there's not many great games this week. Honestly, there's one everybody's going to be watching. Penn State, Ohio State. So, let me go see what so they got the lineup. They got Ohio State as an 18.5 point favorite. That's a pretty steep line. I don't I don't understand it. Maybe they think Ohio State's untouchable this year and Penn State's not as good as his record. I don't know. To me, it's kind of a ridiculous line. I know Ohio State's one of the best teams in the nation. And Penn State might be slightly overrated, but let's not overlook this game. Ohio State is Michigan next week, and they seem to struggle at the game before. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna lose, but I just think the line is crazy. I mean, it's hard to explain besides what I said already. So let's just go with my prediction. Okay. I think Penn State covers, but I think Ohio State wins. It's gonna be like 42 to 35 Ohio State, I would say. And I think Ohio State's gonna, win out, I guess you would say, without giving any predictions. I don't think there's any really other good games this week. It's a slow week for college football. But let's talk about let's just go into a little bit of the playoff rankings. So LSU 1, Ohio State 2, Clemson 3, Georgia 4, Alabama 5, Oregon 6, and Utah 7, and then Penn State 8. Now everybody keeps talking about Alabama being 5. Yeah, that could be a problem, but without a conference champion game, I really hope they don't find a way to sneak in there. I think Georgia and LSU end up playing each other in the SEC championship game. So I hope one of the Pac-12 teams does not stumble, because I would like to see Oregon get a shot at the playoffs. If they obviously win their conference championship, there's no reason why they shouldn't be in there over a one-loss Alabama that didn't win their conference. So right now, the way things are shaping up, what I think will happen, I think it'll be LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oregon. That's a good mixture of conferences. I like that. Something different. It'll be like the first time in since the playoffs started that Alabama's not in it, I think. Which would be different, but it's always good to have a change of pace. Something different. Get the Pac-12 in there and see what they can do. But that's assuming they don't stumble. Now also, Utah could get in there. That all depends on the Pac-12 championship. Because I'm pretty sure Oregon and Utah will play each other. I think that'll be a great game. I just, hope none of them stumble on the way there. They set up games before the conference championship can be pretty tricky. You just gotta focus. Focus 1 week at a time. And the old Bill Belichick saying, everybody says it, on to Cincinnati, but on to your next opponent, basically. Everybody's afraid of Alabama at 5. I don't think it's an issue. I mean, there would have to be a lot to go wrong if Alabama sneaks in, just to say that. So, with them being at 5, I don't know if that was... I'm pretty sure that was post Tua's second injury, which, without Tua, they're still a top 10 team, but they should be below Utah. So Oregon should be 5, Utah should be 6, and then Alabama should be 7, right ahead of Penn State. That's where I would put them, personally. Because, come on. The one good team they played, they lost. I'm not saying Alabama's a bad team, but their schedule is just as bad as Clemson's. Let's just put it that way. I think Clemson's a little worse just because their conference is so bad. Speaking of Clemson, there's no reason Clemson shouldn't win out and get to the playoffs, right? Shouldn't, right? They should win out and get to the playoffs. I would hope so. Their conference is terrible, and they're the only good team, like you can say only elite team, like the SEC has a few elite teams and a bunch of good teams. No, the ACC has one good team. The basketball conference is showing this year. Everybody knows the ACC is a basketball conference, but the ACC usually had, in past seasons, FSU and Miami were normally good, especially FSU of recent, like not in the last few years, but the last 10 years, because Miami and their death penalties. I don't know if they'll ever get back to normal. But they need to figure something out. The ACC, man, like Clemson's just gonna run the table year after year after year, get in the playoffs 13-0 because their conference is just so bad. Like, there's just no good teams in there. I mean, at least the Pac-12, you got Utah and Oregon, and I think Washington's not bad. They had a disappointing season, to be honest. USC's picking it up a little bit. I'm actually surprised they're in the top 25, being they are 7-4. But I mean, if USC got back to USC like we know it, the Pac-12 would be really interesting if Utah and Oregon kept pace at what they were doing. I think that's about it in college football. All right, let's move to the big weekend in the NFL. Everybody's waiting for. There's so many big games with playoff implications. Everything could be changed. Like the whole NFC playoff layout. Like not the seeding, but the playoff teams could be decided after this week. Okay, so the Cowboys and the Patriots. That's the game everybody's anticipating. Going to get a huge rating. America's team, Captain, Tom Brady or whatever. Now that we got word that Mohamed Sanu is not playing, I just don't know how the Patriots keep doing it, to be honest. They have Julian Edelman on offense. Like, that is it. Tom Brady's been without his left tackle for half the season, at least, maybe more. I think he's supposed to get him back this week, but obviously Tom Brady has looked mediocre at best. But they're still 9-1. Like, I know they got the best secondary in the league and stuff, but it's crazy how they keep doing it. The Cowboys. So the Cowboys have much more talent, I should say, than the Patriots. Their quarterback is playing way better. Got a better. I mean, every unit on the Cowboys is better except for the secondary. The Patriots have a really good secondary. So the line this morning, the line's back to 6.5. So it was down to 5.5. They moved it back to 6.5 for some reason. Oh wait, no, this is a picture. Sorry, never mind. I think it's down to 5.5. I took a picture of the schedule earlier, so I think it's down to 5.5. Maybe the Mohamed Sanu injury. Like the Patriots are favored by 5.5. That line seems like it's a Bill Belichick line. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the talent's on one side, and now the Patriots got another injury. I think they're just saying Bill Belichick is going to outcoach Jason Garrett by a touchdown, basically, by a touchdown minus an extra point. That's a problem for the Cowboys, because let's just think about it. I think Jason Garrett's been there about 10 years or so. His contract is up after this year. But you know whose contract is going to be getting extended? Big. Is Dak. And think about it. You think they're going to be able to keep all that talent after they give him $35 million a year? I think they wasted those years of cheap rookie contract, 4th round quarterback, but on Jason Garrett. Like, come on. All that talent, and you're 6-5. You can't even beat a good team. You're beating up on bad teams, and then the good teams are just beating up on you. Like, if the Cowboys don't win this game, I don't see any way Jason Garrett keeps his job. I don't. I really don't. Because the Cowboys aren't winning the Super Bowl. Like, okay, so if the Cowboys lose to the Patriots and they still get in with the division win, because only one team is getting in that conference, and from that division, either them or the Eagles, and it's, pick your poison. They're both not that great. The Cowboys are supposed to be good, but okay. So the Cowboys lose to the Patriots. Let's just say that. The only way Jason Garrett keeps his job, to me, they have to make it to the NFC Championship game, and they have to be close to winning it. Like, they can't make it to the NFC Championship game and get blown out, because I think he's still going to lose his job. You can't go 10 years with the Cowboys and have, 1 or 2 playoff wins. That's just in that spotlight. Jerry Jones has been very lenient with him. Like, I think he's on the hot seat. Like, it's hot. Okay, Packers at the 49ers. So, let's start with the 49ers. The 49ers have a chance to really... How would I put this? Lose grip on their season. The fact that they started out, 8-0? They needed that. They needed every bit of that, because their coming up schedule is rough. They are currently 9-1, and I think they got about 3 more losses in them, to be honest. 3 or 4. Because they still have the Packers, the Ravens, and they're at the Ravens. And they have the Seahawks again. There's somebody else in there that they have, but I just can't think of it right now. I'm going to go look that up. But still, they could lose grip on this season. And if they start losing here and there, and Seattle keeps winning, do you know how crazy it would be to start out 8-0 and be a 5 seed in the playoffs and have to go on the road? Like, that is just insane to think about. So they have the Packers this Sunday night, and then they're at Baltimore, at New Orleans, and then they play the Falcons. The Falcons ain't a pushover anymore. They seem to find their footing now, and the Rams, and then at Seattle. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could potentially lose 4 more games and end up 11-5. That would be a disaster. I could see it happening too. Off to the Packers. It hurts me to say this as a Bears fan. It deeply hurts me. But I think the Packers are the best team in the NFC. Now, their defense started out hot, and it slowed down a little bit. But you only need to give Aaron Rodgers an average defense. And he has a good running game. So, the Packers are good. They're the real deal. Alright, so I'm going to be looking at these lines and picking the ones that I think that you should pick. Okay, let's start off with the Dolphins at the Browns. Okay, so the Dolphins, they play hard. The players don't tank. Let's be real about that. They've been playing hard. They've been winning. They won a couple games recently. and they give people some fits at the beginning of games. Well, the Browns, they come off a win at Pittsburgh, but they can't seem to get their footing because they like to talk about last week every week. Like it's you got a game coming up this week. Stop talking about last week. Like okay, so Cleveland's favored by 10.5. That's a pretty steep number. I'm taking the points, but I'm taking the Browns. If that makes any sense. The Dolphins to cover. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, to be honest. I know the Dolphins suck, but the Browns aren't good either. Let's be honest about that. It's about time we start being honest with the Browns. I predicted they wouldn't make the playoffs in the beginning of the year, but I didn't predict them to be like 4-12. I predicted like 7 or 8 wins. I think it was like 8-8 or something. So, so I'm gonna say the Browns win 31-28. All right, let's find another. Okay, Seattle at Philly. Okay. So normal home field advantage is 3 points. Normal. They got Philly favored by 1. That's a problem. Philly's not going to win. Let's just put it that way. Seattle's too good, and Philly is just they're not that good. Like people are having them in the Super Bowl at the beginning. They're number 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC, and they've just been a big disappointment. So obviously I'm taking the Seahawks to cover and win. I'm taking the Seahawks 31-21. Okay, let's go find another. Okay, Cowboys at Patriots. So the Patriots are favored by 5.5 now, I think. I'm going to go check that just to make sure, because I have a picture saved on my phone from earlier today where it was still 6.5, but I think it's went down a point. Nope, it's still 6.5. Okay, that seems like a steep line to me. See, the problem is the Cowboys always start slow, and if you're behind against New England in Foxborough, that's a problem. But like New England doesn't have anybody. I just don't get how it keeps happening. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys to cover, but the Patriots to win. It's gonna be a close game. I'm going to say the Patriots win 23-21. Green Bay at San Francisco. So San Francisco got the normal home field advantage, 3-point favorite. See, I don't like to call upsets on the NFL because it's the NFL. But I think Green Bay's just a better team altogether. I know San Francisco's got that crazy defensive line, but Green Bay got the much better quarterback and a much better running game. I'm picking the Packers to win and cover 27-23. I think that's all I have for the spreads. I think that's about all I have. Let's go back. Let's see what they have. Yeah. Okay, let's go New York and Chicago. New York, the Giants at the Bears. As we know, the Bears' offense is... How would I put this? It doesn't move. Like, it's just... It's moving in place, let's put it that way. I know the Giants are bad, but they've been better of late. Now, the Bears are favored by 6, which normal home field obviously is 3. I don't know if Soldier Field gets an extra half point or not. I'm not sure about that. But I'm going to take the Giants to cover, but the Bears to win in a low-scoring 17-16 Bears win. As a Bears fan, I've watched pretty much every game, and the Bears ain't winning by 6 points. just by the judge of this whole season, if we win, we win by 1 or 2. We're just, our offense is just holding us back so bad. What a disappointment in the season. I predicted us to come back a little bit, but I said a 9-7 season. But then that was before I seen Trubisky regress so bad. I don't know. They're gonna have to do something next year, and if they don't, I'm just gonna be very disappointed. They need to, man up to their mistakes and move on while we have all this defensive talent. I would even be up for signing Cam Newton. Like, if we got Cam Newton, we would be a contender. I know he's not the greatest, but let's be real, he's better than Trubisky. Staying on the NFL, I wanted to talk a little bit about the international games. We have the games in London every year, and then we had the game in Mexico City this year, and then we had the one last year that got canceled because the field was tore up. The field wasn't tore up before this game, but come on. If you watch that game, you could see it. That field is... we can't play on fields like that. Like, you're putting our players at risk. The international games, I get it. Mexico City, it's fun. London, it's fun. It's fine. It's fine in London. They got a new football stadium over there. State of the art. I think it's Tottenham's. But the Mexico City field, that stadium is huge, but the field is just crap. I guess they try to put grassy turf or something. It's not artificial turf, but they try to put something because they have regular just grass. I heard they try to put something over it for the NFL game, which it looked like, to be honest, it looked like shit. And you send basically your best young quarterback out there in Patrick Mahomes. You're just asking for disaster. I mean, come on. You could when it's raining real hard for a long time, and you get these standstill puddles where a ball slaps the ground and the water goes flying up. It was like that, except it was dirt. You can't have that. And then didn't they have a preseason game in Canada where the field wasn't even the right size, and they had these giant holes in the front of the end zone? Come on, that's a joke. We need to be more prepared. If we're gonna send teams internationally, it's fine. It's fun. I get it. It's good for business. But you gotta be more. But you can't send players. You can't send players to those fields. Come on. You're gonna get people hurt, and then once you send somebody to international and they get hurt, twisting their ankle in one of these crappy fields, it's not gonna be good, and people are gonna be talking about this for a while. We need to be better on that. Be more prepared. Let's see, what else can we get into? Okay, QB hunts. There are going to be teams looking for QBs. Quarterbacks, sorry. Let's not say QBs, quarterbacks. There are 3 A prospects coming out this year. 3 A prospects. And then you probably have Cam Newton as a free agent and Teddy Bridgewater. So, the irony is Carolina needs a quarterback, but they're letting theirs go because apparently they're just tired of him being injured. But Kyle Allen's not the answer. Let's just be clear on that. He was winning, but he got exposed. He's a backup. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, Miami, Cincinnati, they'll be the number 1 and 2 picks. Probably the Chargers too. They do need a quarterback, but whether they just decide to move off of. All right, let's be real for a minute about the Bears. It's gonna be hard. It's always hard to admit when you make a mistake. But that's what Ryan Pace and the Bears need to do. They need to take a step back and admit they picked the wrong guy. And they don't have a first round pick, so I don't really know if they have a second round pick. Maybe they can find a quarterback in the second round and sign Cam Newton or something. But they need to do something before this elite defense, goes to waste. Because right now, this elite defense is going to waste. And I know people will say, well, Khalil Mack's only got like 5.5 sacks, but it's like, think about it, man. He's mailed it in. Like, why would he keep playing hard for an offense that doesn't go anywhere? I mean, it sounds bad, but it might be true. Now Tua, that's the interesting thing. We will definitely learn more when his medicals come back. But me, personally, I don't think he's going to drop. I mean, maybe he'll drop out of the top 2. But I think Los Angeles Chargers have a chance to trade up and get him. The Jets will have a top 5 or 6 pick. They don't need a quarterback. They'll gladly move down for some extra players, right? Which is if they're willing to move off of Phillip Rivers, which at this point I probably would. Maybe Carolina. I don't know. I don't know if Carolina has enough to trade up, and if I don't know if Tua's gonna drop to mid round. I wouldn't let him. If I needed a quarterback, I would pick him. Because I mean, for example, let's use the Colts versus the Texans as an example. So the Colts have it all together. Probably the best O-line in the league. Great coach. They're just sound all together. Just all around, they're sound. Then you get the Texans. Their coach doesn't even know how to read a clock. They have a left tackle. They have a fantastic receiver, elite receiver, top 2, top 3. And then Deshaun Watson. And the Texans won because they have the elite quarterback. It's funny how that stuff works, huh? Obviously, Cincinnati's going to get the first pick, and then Miami's going to get the second. Just not much to evaluate there. It's just personal preference at that point. Maybe Tua will go in the top 2. I mean, if his medical records come back and they're like, oh yeah, he's fine, he's probably going to be the number 1 pick, which is unfortunate for him because he's going to have to go to Cincinnati. You know how that goes. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson. Okay. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, let's talk a little bit of NFL MVP. So everybody's, screaming, oh, MVP Lamar, he's Mike Vick, but better, and this and that, which I think is kind of true. He's a better thrower than Mike Vick. I think he's got 19 passing touchdowns this year. And Michael Vick's season high is like low 20s. It's like maybe 21. And Lamar Jackson's in his second year. Now, granted, he's got a lot of support around him, but that's what you need. A top 3, 4, 5 coach. I mean, got a great running back. Good O-line, good defense. Their defense is really coming together. But him, Russell Wilson's at the top for me. And then people are starting to sneak Dak Prescott in the MVP. He has been playing really good. His team hasn't, though, and that's going to hurt him. Same with Christian McCaffrey. Those are the 3 and 4, probably. Maybe Aaron Rodgers at 5. But I think it's clear cut right now. Russell Wilson is playing the best and is the best player in the NFL. I don't think anybody can do more with less than him. He's got the best deep ball, the best touch, and he does it on the run most of the time. The dude is absolutely insane. I think he's still only got one interception. I think he's the clear-cut favorite right now. I mean, Lamar Jackson has been gaining ground, but on the rest of the NFL, maybe the momentum of the new guy will carry him into the MVP, but me personally, I would go Russell Wilson over him. I think it's pretty clear. Russell Wilson's clearly the best player in the NFL to me. And then you got Aaron Donald and some defensive players in there, but defensive players normally don't win MVP unless they have a ridiculous year. Okay, we're going to get into my top 8 NFL teams. Now, doing this, listing them, made me realize how deep the NFL is. I was like, well, what about this team? What about this team? But it's like, they're good. There's a couple teams that's going to be maybe left off this list that has a good record. Seems like a good team. Okay, let's start with number 8. The Chiefs. The Chiefs made this list because of Patrick Mahomes. They have a lot of holes, and they're still a good team. But man, not being able to stop the run or start the run on offense, I mean, it seems like it's just a lot of only Patrick Mahomes, and he's good. He's great. He's elite. But I don't think you can win like that with just the one guy. Obviously, there's more to an NFL team, but if you go by positions and list good, great, and bad, you have a great tight end, receiver, and quarterback. And I mean, after that, it's up in the air. Number 7, the Vikings. Everybody's question about the Vikings was Kirk Cousins. Now, I don't remember which week it was, or what number it was, but I know it was right after the Bears, after they lost 16-6. Something clicked, and Kirk Cousins has probably been the best 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the league since then, which is insane. And they have a ton of talent, and the only reason I have him down at 7 is because I'm still not sure about Kirk Cousins. I still don't know if I trust him, even though he's been playing fantastic, and they have a great roster, good running back, good receivers, great defense. Number 6, Seattle. Russell Wilson's insane, and they have a great coach. They might get home field advantage in the NFC, which is crazy to think about. Being a number 6, there's a good chance of it. I mean, it's Russell Wilson. He makes magic happen. All right, number 5, San Francisco. Now, some people are like, whoa, they were the last undefeated team. They're still 9-1, but I have some real questions about them. I'm not saying they're not for real, but the 8-0 start, they're not that good. They have a real tough schedule coming up, and I think they could end up 11-5, which would be a disaster to an end of a season to have that great of a start. Obviously, they have an elite defensive line. Their quarterback is okay. He's good enough. They got a decent running game. I'm just not sure if I trust them yet. Coming in at number 4 is New England. Now, this is the team in the top 8 with the least amount of talent. Let's just put it that way. But there's one thing you can trust them. Belichick and Brady. They've been stuck in everybody's brain for 20 years. I mean, they could get home field advantage. If they get home field advantage, that's going to be a problem for the AFC. A problem. Going to Foxborough in the playoffs has been a problem for everybody. Coming out at number 3, the Packers. No, I said I think the Packers might be the best team in the NFC. They might be. We're not sure yet. Their defense really took a big step back after the first quarter of the season. But they still have Aaron Rodgers, which is one of the most talented quarterbacks ever, and they have a good running game. It's solid. It's not elite, but it's definitely good enough. I mean, I think Aaron Jones is one of the top 4 or 5 running backs this year, so I guess you could say it's great. Combine that with Aaron Rodgers, and that's a problem. Coming in at number 2, the Saints. They went 5-0 without Drew Brees. I mean, I really don't have to say much after that. I mean, great defense, great head coach. Drew Brees, obviously, and his great weapons around him. I mean, they're an elite team. And obviously, coming in at number 1, you could have guessed it after my list, the Ravens. So, the Ravens have the Rams coming up after. Well, it wasn't directly after, but, demolishing the Patriots, and they had one game in between. But, this is the team that could really give New England a threat, that could win the AFC. Somebody that's not New England. They have the recipe to. They know who they are. They know what they are. They're a run down your throat team. 200 yards per game. And with a playmaker like Lamar at quarterback and the defense coming together like they could win it all. They could definitely win it all. So those are my top 8 NFL teams. Let me know if there's any disagreements or what you think or your opinions on the top teams in the NFL. Okay, so there's certain franchises and certain sports that seem to keep up with the winning, I should say, in recent times. Times change. Everything in sports changes every year to year, decade to decade. The key to that, adaptability. So what I'm getting at is there's a new wave of type of players, whether in the NBA or in the NFL. For example, the Warriors, they adapted before the times changed. They were ahead of the curve, and that was Jerry West. To basically telling them Steph Curry for Monte Ellis, like, get rid of Monte Ellis and bring in Steph Curry, adapt with the times. They were ahead of the time. There's this new wave of quarterbacks coming in that are already in the league, and the teams that are adapting to it are staying ahead of the curve. Well, we're not going to talk about the Patriots because they're an outlier. But basically, this is about Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, even Russell Wilson, even though he's been in the league for some years. You got to be able to move. With everybody throwing the ball so much, college and pros, you have 3 great offensive lines in the NFL and a bunch of it's whatever. Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and Dallas. There might be another one that I'm missing, but Indianapolis has the best one. What I'm getting at is this new wave of quarterbacks that's coming. You're basically gonna have to be able to move. Like, now I'm not saying you have to be Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick Electric, but you gotta be able to move. Like, Russell Wilson moves to looks to throw. When he moves, he looks to throw first. He doesn't move to take off and run. More like a Lamar Jackson. You don't have to be Lamar Jackson. Like Kyler Murray, he has a great arm. He throws a beautiful ball. And there's a lot of questions of coming in about how small he is, but I mean, does that really matter anymore? If you're rolling him out, he doesn't have to see behind and front over the line anyways. Like, for example, Kirk Cousins. You don't think of him as a runner, but he can move. And ever since they started rolling him out, he's looked a hell of a lot better. I mean, he's looking like statistic wise, since after that Bears embarrassing loss, he's looking like a top 5 quarterback, at least statistical wise. Um, that's why excuse me, why I don't think Tua is going to drop in the draft. Because if you need a quarterback and you pass on Tua, you deserve what you get. I mean, the draft is just teams overthinking things and thinking, oh, if this works, then I'm gonna look like a genius. It's like, no, just make the simple pick. Like, I think the Bears overthought that draft. No, I'm positive they overthought that. They overshot it. They overthought it so bad. They're like, if this guy works, we're gonna look like geniuses. It's like, but this other guy, he's amazing. We're not gonna get too far into that right now. You know, it upsets us Bears fans to see Deshaun Watson just completely destroyed with a team around him that is mediocre. That's why I think these Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees and eventually Tom Brady and Big Ben can't move like he did before. Eli Manning, they're going to get phased out, which makes me kind of worry about Jared Goff a little bit. He is them. He's just a lot younger. He doesn't move. He's got a freaking cannon for an arm. But that whole offense for the Rams was revolved around the run game, and until, of course, when they played the Bears, the run game has been just nothing. And now Todd Gurley all of a sudden, boop, nope, he plays good against the Bears. Like, well, what do you know? Of course, we score 7 points because our offense is just complete crap. Anyways, I think you're gonna need a quarterback that can move, like move in the pocket, escape to throw, have quickness. You don't have to have 4.344 speed. But I think the way this league is going, it's trending that way, and I think the Ravens might be ahead of the curve. The Ravens and the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals are not that good this year, but with the rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, I mean, what can you expect? They're evolving, they're adapting. They will be good in a few years here, because they'll have a couple 2 to 3 bad years, but that'll come with draft picks, and I think they will nail the draft. They will get most of their drafts right. They just surround Kyler Murray with the right talent, and then here they are. I mean, it's as simple as that. I think I'm gonna wrap this up on that. If you came and listened, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I'm just getting started, and all the listeners, any listener, I appreciate. I will be having more of these coming. I was supposed to record with my buddy Kevin tonight, but it didn't work out. I'm hoping to get him over here tomorrow night after college football. He's going to the Notre Dame game. I'm hoping to get him over here tomorrow night so we can record. We always have great sports talks. This is about an hour long. Shoot, if me and him would just press record and just talk, we can get to 2.5 hours without even realizing it. So thanks for listening. Drop a like, comment, and tell me what you think about it. Thanks. I appreciate it.